As you might have heard, social photo collection sharing platform thingy Pinterest has recently grown to the point that it's now the third largest source of referral traffic on the web. Pinterest's user base is made up of somewhere around 80% women and has been for quite some time. So why should you care? Well, your attitude toward Pinterest and your attitude toward many of the women on Pinterest may reveal something about your attitude toward women as a whole. I hope nobody takes that the wrong way.
Thank you all for coming to my shows, you're sexy.
As I was saying, something like 83% of Pinterest's users are women, so it might come as no surprise that a cursory glance at the site's featured content features paper flowers, wedding dresses, and cupcakes. To be fair, there are a lot of different kinds of people using the site, and those people share a lot of different kinds of content. But some of the most highly visible, best represented users within the community tend to be these women expressing their so-called nesting instinct. These women dream about the perfect wedding, dressing their kids in couture, and they pull light, fluffy words of inspiration directly from the sky. Having what salon writer Mary Elizabeth Williams called a sunny, sincere, straight-out-of-a-yogurt commercial personality,
zen, wrapped in karma, dipped in chocolate.
Many people perceive Pinterest as being super heteronormative. Soon enough, a number of competitors came along offering the same functionality, but, you know, with mustaches and monocles, because girls are icky. See, for those guys who found Pinterest's supposed girliness alienating, these manly alternatives offered exactly what they wanted. More heteronormativity, but from the other side. Take how on Mantristing, you don't pin anything, you nail it. So I'm gonna nail this hot babe, I'm gonna nail this car, I'm gonna nail this dude. Oh my god, all this nailing has me feeling
so fucking manly. I am. All that is manly.
Oh, I can't even do that anymore. Given how all of this pinboard collecting and organizing seemed to do little more than call attention to the already huge rift between gender norms, and being that I've already got a Tumblr where I'm far more likely to post animated GIFs of people getting hit in the face with hot dogs, I didn't really have interest in any of these sites. But then something funny happened while I was reorganizing my kitchen cabinets. Okay, so I've got the rice flour, the rice, the cornmeal, the potato flakes, and the pasta all together on one shelf. And then the spices, salt, pepper, sugar, and honey are all on this other shelf. I've got the cereal, dried fruit, and crackers together on their own shelf. I should have put the cereal and the crackers with the rice and the other grains and the starches, but that shelf wasn't big enough. And this way they're separated into breakfast foods versus dinner foods. Someday I'll get this big pantry where I'll have everything organized exactly how I want it. Oh, baby, I understand how Pinterest works. So if Pinterest has already established themselves as a place where creative storage solutions and recipes are a natural fit, then maybe it's entirely appropriate that I'm using Pinterest for that and not for the same things that I'm using Tumblr for. Granted, in the eyes of people who use sites like Mantristing, Gentlemint, and Darted Up, my activity on Pinterest probably seems out of the norm. At the same time, in the eyes of all of the wedding planning nesters on Pinterest, seeing a man doing kitchen organization on Pinterest also probably seems out of the norm. Being the self-confident 21st century dude that I am, I really don't give a f about how people perceive my level of masculinity. Because, I mean, maybe, just maybe, one simple subset of behaviors like using Pinterest doesn't actually provide you with nearly enough information to really make a holistic judgment on who a person is. Maybe I'm just the kind of guy who sleeps better at night knowing that I have a convenient, visually oriented way of organizing what I think I ought to have in my pantry. So I get to go ahead and keep using Pinterest how I like with my cavalier not giving a f attitude, and I end up looking like a forward-thinking model of non-normative gender expression. And all that's great for me, but then what about my girlfriend? She's avoided Pinterest up until now for the exact same gender politics issues that I have, but because she's a woman, things are just not quite so easy. These heteronormative, cupcake-loving, yogurt commercial women could be viewed two different ways. Either they're embracing and celebrating that which makes them fundamentally different from men, their femininity and all that comes with that, including motherhood and wifehood and Chanel and Zooey Deschanel, or the differences between men and women are not so fundamental and are instead the vestiges of a society in which women have been treated as less than men, and in effect these women are celebrating socially constructed systems used to oppress them. Now, I could get into all of the facts about how we men have had it pretty easy for the majority of human society because of how in the past you could either buy a wife from her father for what's known as a bride price, and how if her father really wanted you to take her off his hands, he'd pay you a dowry, and how they'd stay at home raising our offspring while we went about our business of writing laws, building militaries, and buying and selling all the other people we owned. But instead, I'm going to use this as a jumping off point to tell you about a really good article on the society pages that I've linked below in the description. So, what do you think? Is Pinterest good for women and bad for men? Is Pinterest good for men and bad for women? Is it both? Or neither? Let me know in the comments. And if you like this video, please, yes, I'm begging you, click the subscribe button, share this on your Facebook walls, and tell your friends. Do it for Nathan. Come on, click his little face. Click his face to subscribe.